Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure what order I'll end up editing the video in, so you may have already guessed, but I'm over at Danebury Hill Fort this morning. Cup of coffee, cheers. I've sort of neglected these videos a little bit lately, and I apologise for that. You know, real life kind of gets in the way, doesn't it, sometimes? But yeah, we're over at Danebury Iron Age Hill Fort, near the Wallops, sort of Salisbury way. Lovely part of the world, some beautiful views. I'll try and get some photographs to put up on the video, or capture a bit of it so you can see if you're not familiar with the area. But I would recommend taking a trip over here if you're local or if it's within reach for you. There's a decent sized car park, or a couple of car parks spread up the access road. There are toilets here, but they're closed, and it looks like they have been for a while, so don't bank on that if you're heading this way. But it's a lovely spot for a picnic. There's benches and things around about, a few picnic tables, and just a lovely piece of history to visit, really. It's quite quiet this morning, a few dog walkers about, but yeah, quite a pleasant sort of late spring, early summer's morning, really. The bike, well, I'll do some video around the bike in a minute, but it's been running a little bit rough lately, but I'll get into some detail of that in a minute. So yeah. Yeah, so standing within the circular perimeter of the fort by the remains of this building, you can see the sort of the boundary going round. It reads Danebury Hill Fort. This earth seat occupies the site of an Iron Age roundhouse. Danebury Hill Fort. And there's some gorgeous trees around here as well. What a view from within and without as well. Lovely place to come. So I've had the Spada Staffy for a couple of weeks now, and been using it quite a bit. So I just wanted to give a few more thoughts on the coat, having given it a bit of a road test. Yeah, so that first day, down points first of all. That first day, I spoke about the fact that the loop had broken on the chin, on the neck strap. It's really not the end of the world. That's just the loop for tucking it back when you're not using it. So when it's in use, that's fine. Buckles and poppers and everything are good. I said that I thought that this buckle might be a bit flimsy, but so far it's been fine. But talking about the belt, I did end up having to make another hole in the belt just to have it a little bit tighter, and I've sewn in rather badly, excuse my needlework. I've sewn in this retaining system for the belt, because when it's done up, it sits about here, and it's not quite long enough, even on my extra hole. It's not quite long enough to actually stay there when you're using the jacket, and it comes out and it's flapping about all over the place. So yeah, I just put in a retainer which just clips in nicely. I think they could have done with either making the belt a bit longer or putting something like this in themselves, but that works fine. And to be honest, it's me nitpicking really, but that kind of thing bugs me, so I've done that. Yeah, so I'm a 34 waist, well, between sort of 12.5 and 12.75 stone in weight, about 5'9", something like that in height. And so for me, I did need to just add that extra hole and make it a bit tighter. But yeah, apart from that, I haven't used it in a torrential downpour yet. I've been through a few showers with it and it's been fine. We're coming into summer. It's sort of late spring, early summer. Not particularly warm yet, but I'm riding without the inner liner. On the motorway, that can be a bit chilly if you've just got a shirt on underneath. But I probably won't use the inner liner. I tend to sort of put a thick jumper on underneath in the winter with this sort of thing anyway. But yeah, you know, comfort wise, it's really comfy on the bike. So the other issue I had was with the pocket. The stitching came undone pretty quickly on the side of the inner pocket. Not massively, but enough that I needed to do some of my dodgy repair work with the needle again. That was maybe just bad luck. I said in the first video about this zip being a bit sketchy. I've put a bit of Vaseline on all the zips actually. I put some on this one and it seems to have helped a bit, but it does kind of feel like it would quite easily jam up one day. So yeah, that's one thing. But yeah, apart from that, pretty happy with it, to be honest. Spada Staffy. Yeah, so I was saying that the bike hasn't been running all that well. It's running better now than it was. So, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, just started running really rough, boggy, at higher revs. You know, couldn't get much more than about 60 out of her. Both pipes were hot, you know, so that both, she was running on both cylinders, no problem. But even at idle, it was really kind of sort of boggy and almost misfiring. I had the tank off and had a good old poke around underneath, because back at the start of the year, I did the plugs and everything, so I thought maybe one of the HT lead plug caps had come loose or something. So I had the tank off anyway and checked the, I checked the manifolds on the carbs. I checked the airbox end. I checked the air filter for evidence of ingress of water or fuel or anything like that. That was perfectly fine. Everything was fine. Put the tank back on. I did notice that I haven't got the key, but the little breather hole was blocked on the drain channel here around the top of the tank. So I did my best to unblock that. But anyway, the main thing was that actually she hadn't been ridden much for about 3 weeks. The MOT was failed and there was a few bits to get done before I could get it re-MOT'd. So there was a period of about 3 weeks where she wasn't being ridden. I would start her up from time to time and I would idle the engine for a while, up to when the fan kicked in actually. So, idling for a good few minutes. And I know there's a mixed school of thought on that. If a bike's sat, some people say that you shouldn't start it up at all. But, I think it's an oldish battery and I just wanted to keep her ticking over really. But all the troubles seem to start around that sort of time. When she was off the road for about 3 weeks. I only ever run E5, so I don't think it was sort of rubbish fuel sat in the carbs or anything like that. What I probably should have done with hindsight would have been to run her dry for the 3 weeks. Because I've got the on-off tap that I put in. I could just turn that tap off and leave the bike running until she conks out, basically. But you wouldn't think 3 weeks would be long enough to do anything like that. So anyway, last couple of weeks she started to be running a bit boggy. Always needed a lot of choke, this bike. Even in the middle of summer when it's hot, she's needed a bit of choke to get started. But generally started on the button. But lately not been starting great. Try a few times, leave her off for a bit, get back to her a couple of minutes later and she'll start. And she's needing choke for a bit longer. But this week, she seems to be running okay. That there's no bogginess at the higher revs, or at the higher speeds. It's almost as if you're riding for a few minutes, say 5 minutes or so, and then something will just click and clear through and she'll suddenly start riding as she should. But I've come over to Danebury this morning and no problems at all. So fingers crossed that continues, but we'll see. So this is a coldish start. Bike's been sat for about 30-40 minutes, I suppose. So not stone cold, but coldish. So let's see what we get. So let's choke on. Yeah, a little bit of throttle there to get us started. And then you can hear the revs picking up with the choke. So yeah, in the last couple of weeks, that hasn't been happening. The revs haven't been picking up. So yeah, like I said, running on both cylinders, both exhausts, both pipes are equally hot to the touch. Definitely a fueling thing though, because she seems to be running a bit rich, and sometimes you can smell fuel a little bit. There's no leaks anywhere. I've checked all that. Does seem to be using a bit more fuel than usual, but I know the gauge isn't massively reliable. But yeah, main thing is she's running. So let's just see how we go, and I'll keep you posted. Right, I'm off to Army Air Museum now, just to grab a photograph, hopefully out the front there with those aircraft. So I'll stick that up in the video somewhere. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. So yeah, what I was just saying about her running back to normal again, back to running normally again. I must have jinxed it, because on the way home the speedo went, and when I stopped to get petrol I had a little look, and the speedo cable's broken about here again. That's the second one in about, less than a year. The first cable that was on there must have been the wrong one, because it was too long, and I think that's why that one snapped. And I know there is a bit of an angle there, but this is meant to be the right cable for this bike, so I don't know. I don't know whether to try one more cable, see if I can get one that's slightly shorter. But then, you've got to allow for bit of movement. I have been toying with the idea for a while of replacing the clocks with a GPS speedo, one that you don't have to wire. So I need to look into that. I know for the MOT you've got to have not just the speedo, but you've got to have the odometer, the constant monitoring of my recording of miles. So I need to have a little delve into that. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, apart from that, she is, although she does need a bit more choke than usual, she is back to running pretty much normally again. Yeah, the other thing I didn't show you was the tank protector. I don't think I showed you. I found a place online that does them. They're blank, and you send them an image to use. So this is this is a screenshot of the controls, a photograph of the controls of sort of 1950s-ish RAF landing lights control panel that you'd find on an airfield or so on, which kind of fits in with the theme. So it's not a gel pad, it's just a printed sticker, really, as you can tell from the fact that it's started to rub off already after a couple of weeks. But the gel pads are sort of 25-30 quid, and these, I think it says a £5, and they sent me 3 of them presumably for that reason. But I'd rather it was rubbing here than rubbing the paint on the tank, which was what it was doing previously, even though I can just get a paintbrush and touch it up. But yeah, so that sort of finishes things off. So yeah, I'll have a little think about the speedo and let you know where I'm at with it. But yeah, I just, although it did break there, which indicates it could be too much of a bend in the cable, I can't really see how it could be much less, and this is meant to be the correct cable for that bike. But yeah, I'll have a little think. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.